You're listening to the Angry Marks Podcast Network.
You know what, Kevin? I'm not really going to talk about Monday Night Raw and TNA and you know, Lucha Underground, ROH and stuff. I will say this. If I'm going to mention anything about the state of professional wrestling right now, it's the fact that I don't know what's going on with Ring of Honor. They're losing a lot of talent. You know, if you're on the outside looking in, it might look like people are jumping ship. So far, we've seen, you know, reports that they've already lost Steve Corino, who is a trainer at the WWE Developmental Center. Nigel McGuinness is a commentator for WWE UK. You know, what's his name? Not Keith Lee signed with Evolve. They lost, you know, ACH didn't re-sign his contract. Kyle O'Reilly didn't re-sign his contract. And now, you know, then earlier this week or last week, whatever, over the weekend, I heard that Kevin Kelly is leaving ROH. And now today, I heard that Donovan Dijak and Michael Elgin, former ROH World Champion, former New Japan Pro Wrestling Intercontinental Champion, Michael Elgin, both of these guys just signed with Evolve today. As a professional wrestler, as one of the boys, you know, I'm always going to congratulate people for either, you know, making a step forward, making a step up, making a step lateral. I'm not going to say that Evolve is better than ROH. I'm not going to say that ROH is better than Evolve, or, you know, it's apples or oranges, whichever style of wrestling you like. But it looks like to me, Kev, you know, that a lot of guys are jumping ship and going to Evolve, going to the WWN Live network and SlowSam and stuff, and that might be because of their working relationship with WWE, or it might not be. I'm going to go ahead and say that a lot of these guys, you know, every professional wrestler's dream is to make it to WWE. Everybody who's ever wanted to be a professional wrestler wants to perform at WrestleMania. Working for Evolve, working for WWN is I'm not going to say guaranteed way to get to WWE, but you have a better chance of getting the right set of eyes on you. You know, we've seen pictures back in the past when Triple H was there at an Evolve show. We've seen, you know, William Regal's been at an Evolve show. Dusty Rhodes, the late Dusty Rhodes before he passed and stuff, was a frequent visitor of Evolve shows. Dave Sapolsky, the former ROH booker / producer stuff, has a great relationship and has a lot of respect in the business and has a lot of connections in the business. So, congratulations to those guys for signing their contracts. Best luck. Best of luck to both of those guys. Best of luck to ROH and stuff. In my opinion, you know, with guys leaving ROH and going to Evolve, with guys who Evolve, going to NXT and the WWE, that feels, once again, that creates openings, that creates opportunities for guys in the indies and stuff to take a step up, to move up to bigger indie companies and move on to doing bigger shows and get more publicity, I guess you could say. Is that the right word, Kev?
Yeah, we'll go with that.
We'll go with publicity.
I think, you know, if anybody from Ring of Honor just happens to be listening to our podcast, I'll just say that we have a couple of experienced, seasoned veteran wrestlers who are a part of our organization, and we also have experienced veteran individuals who are very well versed on the mic and know what they're talking about. They know a wrist rock from a wristwatch, and you know, we're hireable in this environment, ladies and gentlemen. So, you know, I'll just put it straight out. Ring of Honor, if you need to fill these spots even temporarily, you know, just give us a call. We work on contract.
Exactly. Don't forget, we have like experienced referees. We have side guy.
That's right.
I mean, I haven't heard about any ROH referees leaving the company, but if they need another referee, we always have side guy who's, you know, Kevin Sullivan's favorite referee. You know, what better place for Kevin Sullivan's favorite referee to be at than ROH? You know,
he could definitely be the place that runs the face.
We still at AJ Styles' gimmick now. Well, I tell you what, Kim. Like I said on the show last week, this past weekend was my birthday weekend. My birthday was Friday.
Well, happy birthday, Will.
Thank you, Kev.
How young are you, young man?
I am celebrating the 8th anniversary of my 21st birthday.
There you go.
My body feels, my mind is 21, my body is not 21. Let me put it to you like that. No, actually, I'm 37. I just turned 37. But not only, Kev, not only was it my birthday, it was my birthday Friday, but also Saturday made 10 years for me. It was my 10-year anniversary as being a professional wrestler.
Well, double happy birthday then.
Yes, I'm officially a young veteran, I guess you could say that. You know, I like to think I've had close to almost 1,000 matches in 10 years. Definitely. I haven't actually kept track. I should have kept track and stuff, but I can definitely say that working 2 to 3 times a weekend, sometimes doing double shots and stuff, working 2 shows in the same day, I definitely hit the 100 to 150, sometimes 200 shows in a year. So I'm going to definitely say within the past 4 or 5 years, I've definitely started hitting at least 100, 150 shows a year. So I'm right there at 1,000 shows, 1,000 matches. I didn't even say matches, 'cause I know I've had over 1,000 matches. I've been a part of at least almost close to 1,000 shows. But a really great weekend. I hung out with friends, had some shows. Friday night, I hung out with some friends that had Mega Championship Wrestling. Did that, had a really good show. I love the guys up there at Marmet and Racine, West Virginia and stuff. A couple of weeks ago and stuff, as I said, I was actually at the AIWF 25th anniversary and stuff, where I faced Rodney Mack and had my nipple almost chopped off and stuff. Mega Wrestling is a part of the AIWF. Then Saturday, WVCW, West Virginia Championship Wrestling, and in Princeton, West Virginia, the Salvation Army Gym had defended I'm the WVCW heavyweight champion, so I defended my WVC heavyweight championship against CWF Mid-Atlantic, one half of the CWF Mid-Atlantic Tag Team Champions, Aaron Biggs. He's huge. I mean, he's actually on the Tag Team Apocalypto. Did you get a chance to see that?
No, I have not.
If you ever get a chance, first of all, Tag Team Apocalypto is my favorite. It's the second favorite match in all of professional wrestling. Any match that had the dilapidated boat and Roman candles is always going to be at the top of my list. But Aaron Biggs was featured on the Tag Team Apocalypto with his tag team partner, Mecha Mercenary. They're the Sandwich Squad. This guy is big. He's 6'4", 6'5", right around 415 pounds. So I really had to lace my boots up tight for that match. Very hard hitting. Talked to, the commentators and the staff of WVCW, talked to some fans. They really enjoyed the match. I actually did a dive, which I haven't done a suicide dive in a couple of months. Maybe, it's been a couple of months since I've done a suicide dive. But I'm feeling lean and trim now, Kev, because I've lost like 30 pounds in the last 2 months. I'm down from 298 to 275. Or 20-something pounds, I'm sorry. I've lost like 25 pounds. So I'm feeling a little lean. I feel like I can sit between the ropes. So I did suicide dive for the first time in a couple of months, if not a year. Other highlights of the show Saturday was the WVCW Tag Team Tournament to crown new tag team champions. They had a who's who of indie professional wrestling tag teams and stuff, especially in the Southeast. The Ugly Ducklings, former ROH star Lance Lude and Rob Killjoy, with their manager Coach Mikey. They were there. Former NWA World Tag Team Champions, 3-time NWA World Tag Team Champions. The Heat Seekers were there. Ken Lee from AWE, Anthony Hendry, who we've seen at CZW and MCW, and it was in the Best of the Best tournament and stuff, in the Super 8 tournament, and the Young Lions Cup up north and stuff. Him and Ken Lee were there tagging up. A couple of West Virginia notables, Kevin Tyler, Corey Phillips, trying to think who else was there. High profile. There was just a who's who of guys. Tracer X, who you can see in Pro Wrestling Experience in, the Greensboro, Charlotte area. He teamed up with Joshua Cutshaw, who looks like a slim version of Chris Hero. When Chris Hero was teamed up with Claudio Castagnoli as the Kings of Wrestling, that's what Joshua Cutshaw looks like. He looks like a fit and trim Chris Hero. Mr. 500, the PWI Mr. 500, Timmy Lou Retton was there, teaming up with, who's he teaming up with? Benny Conley, protege of Evolve star Jason Kincaid. It was a great show. It's a great show. The new tag team, the new WVCW tag team champions are the Heat Seekers. For me, it was no big surprise there. I mean, these guys are former world champions. They know all the tricks. They have all the tools. Between Sigmund, being such a great experienced wrestler, and traveling, not just in the South, but also in the Midwest and down Louisiana and Texas and, kind of the West Coast and stuff. He has Elliot, his tag team partner Elliot, who is just a great physical specimen. I remember when Elliot was young, and he was like 2 years in the business when I first met him and stuff, and very green, very very respectful, very humble and stuff. And now to see his growth as a professional wrestler, I'm so proud of him and stuff. So that was my weekend. Then of course Sunday was Super Bowl Sunday. I'll say 98% of the country, I was disappointed. Kev, did you watch the Super Bowl?
I did.
And what did you think about it?
You know what? I am not going to complain too much about it. I mean, you had the start of the greatest ass kicking ever, and then you end up with the greatest counter ass kicking ever. I have no love for the Patriots. They're not my team for sure, but you gotta look at it. The Falcons had their number in the first half, and Tom Brady goes into that locker room and he's asked, how does it feel to be down? And he says, we're not down. We are not down. We're disappointed in how we performed in the first half, but we're confident we can go back out there and play the game that we need to play to win. And he did.
So here's my question. We're gonna get away from wrestling for a second. We're gonna talk football. 5 Super Bowl rings in 7, 8 years. Is this the time we say that Tom Brady may be the greatest quarterback in the history of the NFL?
I don't know if I'm willing to give him that title. Definitely, you could definitely place him top 10. You can argue top 5 for sure. I don't know best ever.
I mean, but numbers don't lie. It's the same thing. I'm asking that question to ask this. In the last couple of weeks, we've seen John Cena get championship number 16, tie Ric Flair. If he gets title number 17, does that make him the greatest champion of all time?
No. I mean, he's up there. He's up there, and I am a huge John Cena fan. Far and away, he is the top champion in this century so far. He is the top champion. I would go ahead and say he's top champion of our generation. And that's something that goes back to, for some of us, to the 70s. I would argue that. I'd put him, in a way it almost sounds wrong to say top 3, but he just might be, and he's still going.
Exactly. I mean, I look at it, watching that the show on the network with JBL when he's talking to legends and stuff, and they brought up John Cena. John Cena, 15 years, man, and 10 of those years he's at the top of the card, night in, night out. Hogan and Flair. I mean, Flair was working 7 days a week, twice on Sundays. But even he wasn't doing the schedule that I think that John Cena is doing as far as appearances, making the shows, and just taking the WWE when it was basically down and bringing it to the prominence that it is today. I mean, he basically took WWE, put it on his back, and just ran for the end zone. With John Cena, getting championship title ring number 16, and Tom Brady getting Super Bowl ring number 5. Dare I say that New England is the area of champions?
Well, I mean, there is certainly that great tradition. I mean, you have to look at the Celtics. They put together 16 championships in 20 years? You've got the Boston Red Sox, you've got your Bruins, and plenty of great college teams around the area. So, they love their sports ball and sports puck and, sports everything.
Exactly. I mean, of course, I'm always be because I'm from North Carolina. I'm always going to say that the greatest wrestlers in the world come from North Carolina, but that's neither here nor there. Either way, ladies and gentlemen, we have a great show for you tonight. I think the guest that we have for you tonight, you're really going to enjoy. He has a great story tonight on the Wrestling Nerdcast. A good personal friend of mine, somebody that I've known since he first started in this business. I'm not going to say how many years ago because, well, it's going to make myself sound dated. Even though I just said 10 years, but I'll say about 6. I've known this kid for like 6, 7 years. I have a very small town in Virginia. We'll talk about that later. But the Beau Show, formerly the All-American Nightmare, now the Beau Show, Beau Crockett.
That's right. Hey, guys. What's up, Will?
What's up, man? Unfortunately, tonight, Beau, it's just me. My co-host, Zane, had some things he had to do, so he couldn't make the show. I do have my guest producer, Killer Kev, and he might pop in a question, might have a comment every once in a while, but for right now, it's just going to be me and you talking shop. How's that sound?
Sounds good to me, brother man.
All right. First of all, Beau, thank you for being a guest on the show. It's your first-time guest, and what we usually like to do for our first-time guests is to get them to give us a little background about themselves, about, why you got into the business, who trained you, and who some of your early influences or some of your favorite wrestlers were growing up as a kid.
Oh, man. My influences as a kid, definitely guys like Sting, Shawn Michaels, Macho Man. Can't get enough of those guys. Even now I go back and watch some of their stuff and I'm a kid again every time I watch them. Been wrestling for a little over 6 years now. Been a fan since as long as I can remember. And I ended up being trained by a guy in my area named Marty Reed. He is now retired, or as retired as an indie wrestler can be, I suppose. But yeah, man, just a lot of those same influences influence what I do now. Of course, these days I have friends like you that are always ready and willing to give me advice. The mentorship of one Brutal Bob Evans. I mean, I'm one of probably thousands at this point that can say Bob's a mentor of theirs. And a guy out of Gloucester, Virginia here, Preston Quinn. If it weren't for guys like Preston and Bob, I'd probably be kicking around the same 3 or 4 promotions instead of getting my name out there more and more.
Now, see, I was looking at Brutal Bob and stuff, and the fact that we're both alumni of what I like to call the Doing the Drives Club. Like we're basically like the original. When Bob was first getting the whole seminar thing going, like we were some of the first guys that actually went to a seminar and actually was doing the whole Doing the Drives hashtag and stuff. But you, unfortunately, I've never been on a road trip with Bob yet. But you, on the other hand, just did a road trip with Brutal Bob and the crew and stuff. Super big opportunity. I'm gonna go ahead and let you talk about it. Go ahead and tell our fans and listeners and stuff the opportunity that you got just because you decided to hop in the car and do the drive.
Man, I've been on a couple of trips with Bob now. The first one, I got to go down and help out with a Ring of Honor TV taping. I mean, I wasn't wrestling on the air or anything, but just being able to be backstage and help out was just a tremendous learning experience. And just being in the car with Bob and Congo and Tim Hughes and guys like that, it's almost having a seminar to yourself all weekend long. And just a few weeks ago, myself and my friend Dewan O'Neill, a.k.a. the Juggernaut, we hopped in the car in 19 hours one direction and went to Quebec City and back in one weekend. It's crazy when, he hits you up, tells you he's got a spot in the car, and you just go. You just go.
Now, listen, I don't think people understand when you say I drove 19 hours, because you live in the Tidewater area of Virginia. You live in like the coast, maybe we want to say the coast of Virginia, around the Norfolk Chesapeake area, correct?
Yes.
Yes. So when you say 19 hours, that's 19 hours one way to Quebec City. Ladies and gentlemen, that is in Canada.
Yes. 19 hours to a foreign country where the section of the foreign country that you're in doesn't even predominantly speak the same language as you. Most of the people in Quebec City speak French as their first language. It is an experience to be on a show where you have complete faith in the people that are putting on this show to announce you as you are supposed to be announced and not calling you whatever name in the book and putting on this whole show in a language you don't understand. They speak English. They can speak to me in our language, but I cannot speak to them in theirs. And it's just a crazy experience to sit there and watch the rest of the show happening, and you have to feel it. Being a wrestling fan, you know what's going on, but it's like putting Monday Night Raw on and not knowing the language, and you just have to hear the emotion in the voice and see the story that they're telling in the ring, and it still makes perfect sense.
Exactly. Now, I just did another one of Bob's seminars, and this is like my fourth or fifth one I've done and stuff. And I do it because every time I go, I either learn something from him or Tim Hughes or Congo. It's one or two little tidbits out there of things that they might have picked up or whatever that they're willing to share. But he brought up, the road trip and the experience and stuff. And he was talking about you and Dewan Juggernaut going up to Quebec City and stuff. And the fact that you guys, they were so impressed that you guys went up there unannounced, just went up there with Bob and stuff. And if you don't mind me saying, I'll go ahead and tell everybody that you were up there for no pay, basically, just to go up there for the experience and stuff. But you impressed them so much that they're asking you to come back to Quebec City this summer to be on their biggest show of the year. Is that correct?
That is correct. Both Dewan and I went up there and got no money in return aside from any merchandise we were able to sell at the table. And we got the opportunity to work, and I guess we made an impression because by Wednesday the next week we were both booked to go back this summer.
Exactly. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I don't think that I can stress it enough to use Beau as an example of what happens when you have confidence in yourself, confidence in your abilities, and sometimes you just got to take that leap of faith and say, you know what, I'm good enough. Look at Beau. Congratulations, man. I'm so proud of you. When I heard the story of something he was telling me about, I just could not believe it, man.
Thanks, Will. That definitely means a lot coming from my good buddy, man.
All right. Now, another reason why I wanted to talk to you, because me and you, I don't know if you noticed it, now me and you have a lot in common besides wrestling, besides, liking to pull ribs on people. We both basically come from very small towns where there's no indie wrestling. Well, basically, we're the only professional wrestlers in our city. I'm originally from St. Louis, but I graduated from high school in New Bern, North Carolina. You live in Pocosa. See, I pronounced it right this time. Pocosa, Virginia.
No, you didn't.
Well, how do you pronounce it? Pocosin?
Pocosin. There's an N on the end of it, man. Pocosin.
I'm sorry. You're from Pocosin, Virginia, where I'm going ahead and assume that you are the only professional wrestler there. Am I correct?
Oh, you are quite correct.
How does it feel coming from a small town, being a professional wrestler, and people, the ordinary person walking the streets or whatever, they assume when you say you're a professional wrestler that you work for WWE, because that's all they really know. When you say, oh, I'm a professional wrestler, they either think that you do MMA or you work for Vince McMahon. What is your experience coming from a small town, being a professional wrestler, and just having to interact with people on a daily basis when they ask you, what do you do?
It's definitely an experience. It's having the same conversation over and over again, explaining people what you do and know it's exactly what you see on TV, but it's on a smaller scale, and it's in the shock and awe of like, that's what you do? And some people are going to think it's cool, some people are going to look at you like you've got 3 heads and are from another planet. It's it's rolling the dice every time somebody asks you about it, but it's still the same conversation over and over again, just because some people are going to get it and they're going to dig it, and then some people are going to never, ever understand, no matter how many times you explain it to them.
Now, what about your family? Because I know with my family and stuff, until recently, they just assumed that what I was doing was a hobby, that I was just out there play fighting and spandex and stuff and play fighting with other guys. Not very, my intermediate family, my wife, my kids and stuff, my very close friends are very supportive, but the rest of my family wasn't very supportive until recently. What about your family? Is your family very supportive, coming from a small town? How do they feel about you becoming a professional wrestler?
They were pretty apprehensive. Still are sometimes. Of course, my mom's biggest fear is me getting hurt. They're supportive, but they're only supportive to an extent. 'Cause much like you, they see it as a hobby, as me going out and playing and having fun on the weekend, rather than taking it seriously and trying to make this my job. So it's a struggle sometimes, but I know they mean well. They're supportive, but they're also very cautious and make me aware of the fact that they're very cautious.
Now, for me, it wasn't until I was actually in the PWI 500, number 395. Selfless, shameless plug right there. Okay. That my family, that especially my mom was like, oh, well, this wrestling thing is really taking off for you. Like, and I'm like, yeah, I've been doing it for almost 10 years, Mom. Like, I'm traveling, like, all over the country wrestling. Like, why would you think this is just a hobby? When you told your family, hey, I'm going to Canada this weekend, was that the point where your family was like, oh, shit, well, maybe this isn't just a hobby. Maybe this is really serious?
It was a little more shock than anything else. Like, why are you going that far? And of course, one of the first questions was, "Are you getting paid, and how much?"
Oh man!
And of course, that was where I had to kind of cut him off. Say, it's not about the money right now.
I've said that. It's not about the money. It's about getting my name out there. It's about getting the experience. Yes, the publicity.
That's right.
All right, let's switch gears here. Let's switch gears here. Let's talk about your career.
Okay.
We start off in Virginia stuff. Correct me if I'm wrong. Started off at SPW. Am I correct?
Yes and no. Marty trained me at PWMA, Professional Wrestling Mid-Atlantic, which was a school that maybe put on one big show a year, like in West Virginia. For Keith Crockett. You've been on a few of those shows.
Yes, I have. That was in Mill Creek, West Virginia. Yes.
Yep, that was like the one or two shows a year that he ever put on, were Mill Creek, West Virginia, or Colonial Heights, Virginia. But I started there. I did some work for SPW because they rented out the ring to him a couple of times. But actually, a lot of my rookie year was spent in North Carolina with you, just about every show I was on, with Crew and Shockwave, and the occasional booking elsewhere, but mostly Shockwave, Crew, and SPW is pretty much where I got my start.
Yeah, see, I remember, and Kev, you don't think this is hilarious, because Beau, their actual name is Beau Crockett, spelled with a C. Right?
Yep.
Which of course in the South people automatically assume that you are a member of the famous Crockett Promotions family. And of course,
yeah, they do.
That's not the case for you. But when I first met you, you was doing the whole khakis with the polo shirt and the sweater around your neck and a golf club.
Oh yeah, Beauregard.
Beauregard. I wish I could find a picture of that to put it on the website or put it on the Facebook. But you went from that and switched to actual wrestling gear. And I've seen you go through all the changes that every professional wrestler goes through and stuff. But when I first met you, like you said, you was wrestling at Crew. You was mainly wrestling in North Carolina and stuff. How was that experience for you, being the guy from Virginia, traveling 3-4 hours and stuff to North Carolina to wrestle with guys? And back then, even back then, there was still a lot of guys who I would like to call was a member of the old guard, where you, as a rookie as a greenhorn, you came into the locker room, you shut up, you didn't say anything, 9 times out of 10, which, ladies and gentlemen, happened to Beau. You would get your ass beat for years before you actually ever got a legitimate push. But my question is, how was it for you coming from Virginia to North Carolina and just being in that environment?
It's different because when you spend so much of your early career having to do at least a 3 or 4 hour drive just to get to the first few handful of shows that you're on, it's a little odd because, you get in a car with the guys that you're training with and it's an adventure at first. Then you get in the locker room sometimes and like, okay, who are all these people? And, like me, I sit down, I'm quiet, I learn from who I can, and I go out there and I have my match and then get beat up by Will Huckabee and Bobby Savage right afterwards.
Yes. Sounds like a whole year of getting beat up. It was great.
Yeah, but it's a strange experience. It's an eye-opening experience because you're immediately thrust outside of your comfort zone right off the bat. But I'd say in the long run, it was a very good thing that, there was no quote-unquote comfort zone because I was immediately on the road.
Exactly. I like to think guys like us, guys who have at least 7 years, right there the 7-year mark now. When we first broke into the business, it was still the whole, if you're green, you don't get paid. You shut up. You don't say nothing. 9 times out of 10, like you were saying, you do your match and then there'll be a run-in and you get beat up and you're basically just cannon fodder and stuff. But now, guys come in, they have a good look or whatever the case may be. They can do a 450, whatever, put the dude on and stuff, and they're at the top of the card. Do you appreciate the way that you was brought into the business as opposed to how you see guys coming into the business now?
I definitely have an appreciation for kind of, I guess, quote unquote, being brought in the old school kind of way and having to sit back and wait my turn, kind of. But, there are so many tremendously talented guys that are coming onto the scene these days. I'm going to give a shout out to my boy, Timmy Lou Retton. He's got half the amount of experience we do, but he's all over the place. And I'm proud of him for that because he wasn't afraid to put himself out there and believe in himself and bet on himself to be able to do what he's done so far. And so I guess it goes both ways. I appreciate how I came in and, as long as it doesn't go to a young guy's head, I don't mind, the guy that can come in and do a red arrow with 6 months experience, getting some time to shine on a card as long as he's earned it.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, before I answer, let me go ahead and preface this. When I say that me and Beau were brought in, kind of old schoolish, the guys who were at the top of the card, when we were both still green, and even when you broke in, I was only maybe 2.5 years ahead of you. It was guys like Damian Wayne, former guest on the Wrestling Nerdcast, Mark Brevard, the Memphis Mofo. Like you said, your trainer, Marty Reed. Last week's guest, Vinny Vane. These are guys, Chris Escobar, Kirby and TJ Mack, Casey McKnight, who is now Scott Dawson in WWE. Like, these guys were all the vets that were in the locker room with us, and they had a huge chip on the shoulder because they had to fight and scrap to get to the top of the card. And so, therefore, when they saw us come in, they were like, well, I'm not making it easy for these kids. Do you find yourself having that mentality now, Beau? Because, people that follow your social media starting to see that you're everywhere, especially in Virginia stuff, Virginia and North Carolina and stuff. You're starting to be at the top of the card in a lot of places where you go to. Do you have that mentality of like, hey, I had to fight to get here, kid, and I had to prove myself. You better prove yourself as well.
I guess in a way it's kind of always in the back of my mind, but when I see a young guy hustling and really putting in the work, and you see the desire, and you can tell by the way they work and the way they carry themselves that they want to earn it, it's never been a problem for me to be like, hey man, come here, maybe I can teach you a little something. And that I appreciated it with guys like you and Preston that saw it in me to be like, hey man, come here, let me teach you a little something. So I try to pay it forward in that way when I see a young guy really busting his ass. So yeah, I guess I kind of have that mindset, but I don't want to have that mindset in a way that I want to hold someone back. I just want to see how bad they want it, if they're playing or they're taking it serious.
Now, speaking of taking it serious, even with your success right now as a singles wrestler and stuff, I like the Beau Crockett who's a part of a team. I like the Captain America Beau Crockett. You started off as a tag team partner with Johnny Liberty, who is now big up to Johnny Liberty, who is defending our country as a member of the United States Navy and stuff. But now, speaking of taking it serious, tell me about this tag team, Beauty and the Beast?
Cutie and the Beast.
Cutie and the Beast. I'm sorry. Please tell us about Cutie and the Beast and how this happened.
Cutie and the Beast happened by complete and total accident. It was the second ever Nova Pro show in Springfield, Virginia. Yeah, that's the venue we were running that day. I was told coming into the show that I was going to wrestle Smith Garrett, and I arrive at the venue. I go and I confirm what's supposed to be going on for the day. I get told that I'm going to be wrestling Innocent Isaiah, who is actually someone that I've known since he was first starting at SPW 3 years ago with a completely different character.
Hold on. He was doing like the Arabian X-Pac gimmick back then, or the masked X-Pac gimmick?
He was doing some work for Chikara with that, but he was back then he was doing almost something similar to Beauregard. He was the stylish savior, Isaiah Santero. He was doing the khakis and polo, popped collar, yuppie type gimmick, so I could relate. But anyway, I get told I'm going to wrestle Innocent Isaiah, who is a little more flamboyantly playing for the other team these days.
That's a nice way of putting that, yes.
Anyway, I get told I'm wrestling Innocent Isaiah, and I go and we're starting to talk about a couple of things, and I'm like, hold on, let me go back to the back and confirm with Mikey King and Stutzy that that's still what we're gonna do. And I go back there and I go and I ask, I'm like, so is this match still gonna happen? Oh no. We had a couple of cancellations, there's been a change. You guys are my tag team. We need someone to work with the Bravados tonight. It's like, okay, we can make that happen too. And it was an odd couple tag team. Well, still is, but I was originally brought in as a heel there, and after the first show, and Isaiah wrestled Casey Carlisle on the first show. So there's two very different things happening at the same time, and they thought it was going to be a fun little one-off dynamic where We just play it where Isaiah is in love with me and I'm an asshole, so I don't want any parts of it. So obviously it wasn't too much of a stretch for me. We had a fun match. We worked well together. Obviously, Isaiah and I have been friends for a long time, so we got through it, and it came off really, really well. And the more we talked about it and put our heads together about it after the match was over and the couple of days after, like, you know what? We might have accidentally stumbled onto something here. So we talked to King about it, and like, hey, this is something we really wouldn't mind doing again. And they're like, good, I was hoping you'd say that because we kind of want to run with it too. And after that, it kind of took on a life of its own.
Yes, I know, because I've seen Cutie and the Beast articles and promos and photo shoots and hear the, and of course being in the locker room and stuff in North Carolina, Virginia.
The infamous shower promo.
The infamous shower. Ladies and gentlemen, please look that up. The infamous Cutie and the Beast, the shower promo. But, I hear from the boys and stuff, yeah, man, like, Beau Crockett is doing this tag team thing now with Isaiah. And I'm like, oh, that's really cool. And he's like, well, what's it? Cutie and the Beast. What? And so I have to go look it up. And I'm like, oh, I didn't see this one coming.
That's right.
Like, how is this a thing?
Wrestling is serious business, man.
Yeah, wow. Wrestling is serious business. Obviously, you are the muscle. You are the beast of the tag team.
No, you got it wrong, Will. You got it wrong. I'm the cutie. Isaiah is the beast.
Oh,
that's right.
How does it? So now you're in the tag team once again and stuff, man. And y'all are tearing up the roads and tearing up shows and stuff. How does it feel being a part of an actual tag team again? Instead of we've all been in those shows where it's like, hey, well, I'll be a tag team. You and y'all are tagging tonight. How does it feel once again to be a part of a legit tag team?
It's a lot of fun, especially the way we do things. It allows us to be a lot more creative, and the dynamic between the two of us is just a lot of fun. And he and I are really great friends, so going on the road is definitely not hard. It's not a trying time. We can go and we can talk and we can have fun. And it gives us a chance to do something totally different. Because Cutie and the Beast is something very different than what I've been doing for the past 5-6 years. So it's an I just see it as an opportunity to have fun, to do something totally different. Because tag matches there's so many more dynamics and factors that can go into the storytelling of it all, and to just do, hey, let's see what gay thing we can do today, and still make this thing work.
Hold on. Let's go ahead and say, first of all, ladies and gentlemen, the views, comments, and critiques of Beau Crockett does not represent the Angry Marks podcast, the rest of Nerdcast, Will Huckabee, or the Brilliant Wonder Zane Paisley. These are the comments and opinions of Beau Crockett and Beau Crockett alone.
Oh, yes, because Will Huckabee is known throughout the land for his political correctness.
Exactly. Can't be getting sued because of you. Can't be getting, next people are going to be picketing outside. Next people are going to be picketing outside of Killer Cam's house and stuff because of your comments. We can't have that, man.
Oh, man. But yeah, it's just, our finishing maneuver is called the Time of Your Life, where I lift him up into the lift from Dirty Dancing and throw him down on the opponent. So it's definitely not the most straight-laced kind of gimmick we're going with here.
So I was going to ask you, is there any way that, a lot of times, like me and Joe, we're the Sound of Fury and stuff, we draw influences from like when Dean Malenko and Perry Saturn were teaming up or whatever, from Doom, from Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard teaming up and stuff. That's where we draw our influences from. With Cutie and the Beast, I mean, is there really any? I really can't think of any tag teams now or in the past that you guys can really draw influences from. So I'm assuming that a lot of stuff that you guys come up with is just things that y'all come up with, like you said, in the car.
Yeah, in the car, on the phone. It's just a lot of, he'll hit me up out of nowhere. Hey, what if we did this thing where you get me up on your shoulders and spin me around in a circle like Terry Funk used to do with the ladder? And I'm like, yeah, we can do that. Let's do it. And then we go and we do it, and it works, and we decide to keep doing it. Or, hey, let's try this thing where it looks like we're doing this little swing dance move, and you throw me up on top of the guy, and I'll hit him with a head scissor. And it's just completely out of left field type stuff. And it allows us to stay away from a lot of the cliche things that happen in tag team matches, though. So that's a great way for us to have fun, to be creative, and to give the fans something they haven't really seen a lot of or ever. There was a Nova Pro show where there's this tag team out of Chicago, Beauty and the Beast. So they wanted the Cuties versus the Beauties. And one of their guys, Stevie Fierce, he loves to look at himself in the mirror. He's the beauty of Beauty and the Beast. And for us to get into the comeback, I go and I pull a full-length mirror out from under the ring and use that to distract Stevie to the point where he comes over and takes the mirror from me and gets so distracted looking at himself that Isaiah is able to come make the tag.
So you didn't even hit him with the mirror. You just pulled the mirror out and just set it up in the corner. I
just started walking around the ring with it and said, "Hey, look at that handsome devil in the mirror. Who's that?" And, he just couldn't help but start looking at himself, and eventually he just walked over and took the mirror from me and walked away with it so he could admire how good he looks.
Now, let's get away from tag team. Let's talk about the Beau show. Former, when I first started this podcast, when I first started our previous podcast, the Industry Wrestling Show, I was the NEW, Next Evolution Wrestling heavyweight champion, a title that you've also held. But,
right.
And of course now you're a former champion as well. But what's next for the Beau show? I know you got a lot of big shows coming up. A big, huge show coming up, a big fan fest coming up. Well, I want to say in April, in Norfolk, Virginia. Am I right?
We've got the Mid-Atlantic Wrestle Expo coming up in May. That's in Richmond. Just got signed to appear there, wrestle that night. It's going to be a huge show. The newest additions to the Hall of Fame for the WWE will be there, the Rock and Roll Express. Jim Cornette. I love Jim Cornette. Axe from Demolition. Wow, just so many names, so many legends are going to be there. Eric Bischoff. Wow, I wish I had done a little more homework on everyone else that's going to be there. Barbarian.
I want to know, are we going to see QD and the Beast versus the Rock and Roll Express? Because that's the show. If that match happens, I might have to cancel a book and come see that match.
If somebody wants to make that match happen anywhere, anytime, that would be outstanding. Just to get a chance to have that dynamic in the ring with Ricky Morton and Robert, I'm not sure I'll be able to keep it together during the match, to be honest with you.
What's next? So let's get away from the shows and stuff. We'll promote your shows in a few minutes. But what's next for Beau Crockett, the wrestler and stuff? Where do you see yourself going, in the next 5-10 years and stuff? What's your plans and stuff?
My plan is to be wrestling full time. My goal this year is make it to at least one of the Ring of Honor tryout camps. So hopefully working for them, just wrestling full time, going back to Canada, wrestling all over the country is the goal. Be national, international, West Coast. Hell, I'd love to make it to Japan at some point too. It would all be the dream come true to be wrestling full time, out there on the road, doing my thing, bringing the Beau Show all over the country, bringing the Beau Show to different countries. That's the dream, man.
Yeah, exactly, man. I think that's what everybody wants. I think you have a great chance. I think you have a great opportunity and stuff. And with you going to Canada, I think that's definitely going to open up a lot of eyes. Because correct me if I'm wrong, and this is something that Blue Bob said, was that up there, especially in Quebec City, wrestling is not looked upon as being something that rednecks. It's not a redneck thing. It's an actual scene. So for them, you know, the average show is 25 to 3,000 fans, and they got a VIP area. They're serving wine and champagne. Is that about what you saw when you was up there?
It was crazy. It was standing room only. You're right. It's viewed differently up there. It's not the same, hey, it's something rednecks like, or it's a sideshow thing like people think of it in the States. It's got this whole different amount of respect. It's treated like it's a lot more legitimate up there, and the culture's different. It's like I said, it was standing room only that night. It's just such a different atmosphere. I mean, we're getting something to eat after the show, and they're playing wrestlers' entrance music as part of the regular playlist in the bar. Like, we're sitting there eating, and then all of a sudden Bobby Roode's entrance music starts playing in the middle of the bar. And me and Dewan are looking at each other like, this is a thing? This kind of thing happens here? It's just, it's a culture shock.
Being from the South, man, because me myself, I'm extremely proud of being a Southern wrestler. And with the Southern explosion going on, in my opinion, like, wrestling right now has never been hotter than it is right now. The past 10, 15 years, the South is the place to be from. Do you feel that way? How do you feel about being a professional wrestler from south of the Mason-Dixon?
It's a little bit of a different sense of pride. You know, especially lately when we've had guys like the Revival and Cedric and No Way Jose all getting a chance to do their thing up at the top levels of what we do, and seeing guys like John Schuyler and Joe getting to do their thing, and, you know, guys like us getting to do our thing all over the place, not just in the South, going up to Massachusetts, going to Canada, going to the Midwest. It's just a very cool thing to see all these guys from the South, where we do have a little bit different way of doing things. Our crowds are a little different. Our crowds like to see the old school, character-driven kinds of things in a lot of places. But then you have such diversity of places like AWE down in Atlanta, and Nova up a little closer to me, where there are guys pulling out all the stops all the time, and it's anything but old school. Just such a diverse wrestling culture that we have grown here in the last 10, 15 years, and then to see it explode the way that it has, and just these last few weekends, seeing all these sold-out standing room only shows across North Carolina and Virginia and all over the place down south, it does bring a sense of pride to see that we are becoming quite the hotbed of wrestling.
All right, now, Beau, go ahead and tell us, you know, this is your time right here, to go ahead and promote yourself and stuff. What shows do you got coming up in the next coming weeks? What's your favorite? How can people follow you and keep up with the Beau Show on social media? Just give us all of it.
All right, man. Next Friday, got Nova Pro Wrestling in Annandale, Virginia. Got on next Saturday, I'll be headed back down to Elizabeth City for the first time this year for Next Evolution Wrestling. Then I've got a lot of shows coming up for Fusion Wrestling here in Virginia. Got shows in March the 18th. We'll be at Fusion in Saluda, Virginia. We will be... that's a Cutie and the Beast match. We'll have another Cutie and the Beast match when they head back out to Chincoteague in April. I believe that's April 29th. The Mid-Atlantic Wrestle Expo in May. I'll be at Classic Pro. I know none of this is in order, but I'll be at Classic Pro Wrestling in March and May. I will be at CWF Mid-Atlantic whenever I can squeeze them in. I love going down there. If we've got, we'll be in Annandale for Nova again in March. That is, the date is escaping me, but I'll be in Nova. Yeah, I'll be in Nova when they head back to Fairfax in the JCC. That will be April 14th. I'll be back in Elizabeth City on April 1st. I'm busy. I'm busy, and I wish I had taken the time to write down my schedule. Look,
when it's never a bad thing to be so busy that you can't remember all the dates and all the shows that you're on. When you have to start, trust me, like, when you get to the point, when Monday you have to look at your calendar and be like, where am I at this coming weekend? Oh, right. I'm here. Like, that's never a bad thing. If you can remember every date and every show that you're doing and stuff, that means that you're not doing enough, in my opinion. When you start forgetting shows and stuff, man, that's always a good thing. But how can our listeners and followers, how can they find the Beau Show on social media, man?
You can find me on Facebook. I've got the fan page, The Beau Show, Beau Crockett. I have my wrestling Facebook account, Beau WP Crockett. WP stands for Wrestling Page. You can find me on Twitter at both at It's Beau Time or at CATB Wrestling for Cutie and the Beast. We are on Instagram at CATB Wrestling. You can find us on Snapchat with at CATB Wrestling as well, and you can find me on my own Snapchat with Beau Crockett.
Now I'm
on all of it.
It seems that way. I don't have a Snapchat. It's a long story. I think I've told it on the show. I told it to the boys off the air and stuff. I don't have a Snapchat. I'm too old and I don't get it. That's for y'all young kids. But I'm telling you, Beau, that I did my Virginia license, and I feel like that Team Flying Sex Snakes needs to have at least one match. Yes. Yes. It has to happen. Ladies and gentlemen, like me and Beau have made up this imaginary tag team with me and him, and we said if we ever team up, our team is going to be called Team Flying Sex Snakes. It's based off of this game called Cards Against Humanity. It's a long, cute story. If you ever see me in the show, ask me about it or ask Beau, we'll tell you about it. And what the meaning behind Team Flying Sex Snakes actually means. And then and if you're lucky, we'll actually play our theme music for you.
That's right. The Team Flying Sex Snakes entrance music that will never be played at a family show.
Never, ever. Beau, before I go, before we go up there and we let you go and stuff, I want to ask you a big question. We always do a big question and stuff. We always ask our guests a huge question, a big question at the end. So I'm gonna ask you this because of your friendship and your relationship with Brutal Bob Evans and everybody. The question is this: with all the recent leavings and people leaving always and signing with Evolve and signing with WWE. Steve Carell, Nigel McGuinness, Kevin Kelly, ACH, Kyle O'Reilly. Today, a couple of weeks ago, Keith Lee. Today they had Michael Elgin and Donovan Dijak signed with Evolve and stuff. In your opinion, what does that say for the future of ROH? Does that say that ROH is a sinking ship, or do you think they're just moving in a different direction?
I think it's a rare opportunity for a lot of people, both within ROH and those trying to get to ROH. I don't by any means think it's a sinking ship. I think that they will find the right fit to replace the announce team. I think that, it's definitely a time of transition, but I don't think Ring of Honor is going anywhere anytime soon. I think it opens up the door for a lot of the guys that, are in the top prospect tournament this year, guys like John Schuyler, Preston Quinn. It opens the door for guys like Joe and for guys like you and I that are trying to get there. It's an exciting time in wrestling that so many people have so many opportunities that they have to choose between Ring of Honor and Evolve and New Japan and WWE. It opens up the playing field, in my opinion.
Well, thank you for that very political answer, Beau. You've done very well. Thank you once again for being... Kev, before I even let him go, Kev, do you got anything you want to ask Beau?
No, sir. It's been a great interview.
Well, Beau, thank you for being a guest on our show, man. Best of luck in the future. I'll try to catch up with you whenever I can. It seems that we travel in different circles and stuff, but I always keep up with you. I'm always keeping tabs on your stuff, especially through social media. So best of luck for everything that you got going on for not only you as a singles wrestler, but for Keely and the Beast. For all our fans and listeners in the Virginia, North Carolina, Maryland area, be sure to not only follow Beau on Facebook, but like him on Facebook and follow him on Twitter and Instagram and Snapchat and Tout and whatever the hell, YouTube or whatever the hell else he has going on. But thank you, Beau. Hopefully we can have you back on in the future and stuff, especially before the big, huge Mid-Atlantic fan fest and stuff in Richmond, all right?
Yeah, man, I appreciate the opportunity to come on. I know it was a little last minute. You hit me up at 2:00 this afternoon, but it was a blast as always, brother.
Thank you, man. I'll talk to you later.
Absolutely. Love you, man.
Love you too. Bye. Well, Kev, what you think about our guest tonight?
Another great interview, Will. Very entertaining, very informative.
Very, very informative. Before I tell all our fans and stuff what I got going on this weekend, what do we have going on at Angry Marks Podcast Network?
Oh, pretty much the same old. Listen to all the shows that we have going on every week. Let's see, Wednesday night we're going to go over the latest in UFC with Glove Up or Shut Up with Stevie J and Peter H. Thursday night we're going to go over the latest Wrestle Kingdom show on Thursday Night AMP with Stevie J and Abby Arthur and the Great Sudoku.
That's right. And me, myself, I love, of course, I listen to all the podcasts and stuff. When I'm on the road doing the drives, I'm not listening to talk radio or 70s disco music, obscure 70s disco music and R&B and stuff. When I'm on the road, I always make sure that I go to the Google Play Store, go to podcasts, look up Angry Marks Podcast, right down there. When you look up Angry Marks Podcast and stuff, it has a list of all the shows. I try to download as many as I can and stuff, or as many as I think that I'm going to need throughout the weekend and stuff. Plug in my phone, plug in my tablet, whatever I decide to download it on, and listen to it and stuff. So hopefully our fans and our listeners will not only support this podcast, but the entire Angry Marks Podcast family. This week, Kev, Saturday, fans can find me in Montville, Virginia for Pure Pro Wrestling. I'm not going to say that I'm wrestling, but I will be making an appearance at Pure Pro Wrestling in Montville, Virginia, Saturday night. Sunday, I will be in Greensboro, North Carolina, wrestling for Firestar Pro Wrestling in Greensboro, North Carolina. For a lot of our long-time listeners and fans, if you go back in the archives and you listen, you'll hear about me talking about wrestling against A.R. Fox and Lucha Underground star Ricky Reyes and a bunch of other people and stuff, defending the NWA Continental Champion at this company. They've finally started doing shows again and stuff. The management team finally has found a permanent home for them. They have a great setup. The last show I went to, I went specifically because they had New Jack on the show against a really close friend of mine named White Mike, who's somebody who's really making a name for himself in the indies. It was a great show, great atmosphere. The management team at Firestar Pro Wrestling has done a great job with the setup of the Firestar Arena, and just making the fans feel welcome and at home and stuff. And they have a great locker room. So that's where I'll be at this weekend. Saturday, Montville, Virginia. Sunday, I'll be in Greensboro, North Carolina at Firestar Pro Wrestling. And then next week, hopefully next week, for the Wrestling Nerdcast, we will have Zane Paisley back. But if not, ladies and gentlemen, best believe that you can definitely download this show and all of our past shows and every other show on the Angry Marks podcast and stuff by just going to the archives. But hopefully you're definitely going to download and listen to us and stuff and spread the word. So,
hey, Will, real quick before we go.
Yes.
Since you brought it up, what are your top 5 songs on your iPod playlist right now?
Oh man, hold on. I will tell you right now. I can actually look it up and tell you what my top 5 songs are. Right now. Hold on, I'm waiting. Hold on. You're making me work so hard. My top 5 are the Ex-Ambassadors, Unsteady. I don't know if anybody knows what that is. Houston rapper Scarface, No Problem. That's the music I play right before I get to the venue. Motivational Talks by Les Brown, Sam and Dave, and my last one, Beast by Rob Bailey and the Hustle Standard. That's my top 5.
All right. Last question for you.
Last question, okay.
When you're in the car, when you're on the road trip, when you're doing the drive, what's the one song you always got to sing?
The one song I always got to sing? Oh, man. Now you're really killing me here, Kev. Oh, Jesus.
Hey, you got to earn your pay, buddy.
Say again?
You got to earn your pay here.
Okay, so I'll tell you my guilty pleasure song right now, okay?
Okay.
All right, so my guilty pleasure song right now is Starving by Haley Steinfeld.